Hey, welcome to Gravel Driveway Recovery. We've got an interesting one here for you today that involves both some ditching, riprap. It's actually a pretty wide driveway at 15 feet wide at points, which is generally wide for a gravel driveway. Most of the time they're around 10. But you can see here that it's not in the greatest condition, and these field in the back is where they keep their horses. Well, the person who hired me likes to walk them along this road, and the rocks are too big, and she's afraid of rolling her ankles. So we have brought in the equipment here to get some of this taken care of. One of the things that we are going to need is a lot of riprap. We're going to be fixing inlets where water isn't flowing correctly, and so it's digging out the inlets of where the culverts are. The water's coming in sideways, so we needed to bring in riprap to fix that. Also, you can see here there's a lot of larger rock on this driveway, so we need to turn that over, pull some of the fines back up as much as we can, and we're just going to generally have some fun. Here you can see where it's gotten dug out and is pulled back, actually, the driveway by 2 to 3 feet, 4 feet in some places. And so we've been shoring that back up, and it'll actually allow us to widen this driveway at those points, and then, of course, protect it so that it doesn't happen again. It doesn't get that erosion. Here you can see we're bringing in some 2-inch, and the driver sometimes has some issues with getting it to come out, but that's all part of the game. It's always a struggle to get these trucks to lay it down just right. Every now and then you get a good spread, but most of the time we're having to come back in and get it fixed up, put it exactly where we need it. It's rare that we ever get it to just come straight out of the truck and don't have to touch it. The reason why we always laying down this 2 inches in this case is that we needed to reshape it so that it was crowning and moving. You can see that we've got some ditches on the left, ditches on the right, and we need that water moving into those ditches. Crowning is the best way to do that in a lot of cases, or pitching, and that's what we're doing here. We're using some of this material to give us a underlying structure that will then ultimately finish with some crush. Now, the reason we're rolling this 2-inch is not because it has to be compacted necessarily, but we like to compact as we go so that we can make sure that each layer has the compaction levels that we need in order to, as we build, we're not trying to compact 10, 12 inches of material, say. We're compacting each layer as it goes down. Also, it helps it lock together, and that makes it so that the trucks, as they're coming through and spreading, aren't messing it up and pushing it around as much. It's a little more resistant to that. Now here you can see we're bringing in some of the crush, and they were having a little hard time getting it to spread. It's going downhill, which you've got to have a real nice touch on that bed in order to get it to spread and come out evenly when you're spreading downhill. They did a great job, but you can see that it was coming out a little rough. And here you'll see that we're again compacting it with our vibratory roller. Very important, especially on those top layers. It allows it to all lock together, makes it hard or durable, and it allows the pitch and the direction of the grade to be set so that as the water's moving, it it's not changing that. We've got one of those fancy buckets that love to that we can tilt, and we can actually shift it around. That's been a real game changer. My friend RJ McLeod pointed us to that, and that's been super helpful. Alright, so you can see we're getting pretty close to capping this off, and especially in this section of the driveway. It's about an 800-foot driveway, and so we're doing it in sections. You can see that we're getting pretty close to having it where we need it to be. And you know, look, you can see right there on the right, it's clumping a little, so it wasn't coming out evenly. That's some of the things that can happen when you're spreading a truck, and it's no one's fault. Just if you're trying to keep it a little tight, sometimes you can risk that, but it can be better if you can get a little thinner. I personally like to spread it thinner because it gives me a little flatter spread, and then I can tweak it to how I want. If it goes in too thick, I don't get the coverage that I'm looking for, and it just makes me have to do more bucket work. You can see how that's nicely crowning there. We're just bringing in some of those final loads of crush. We're kind of towards the entrance of the area that we're working on, and so that we're getting close to the end here. Sometimes in situations like this, it just doesn't make sense for a truck to spread, have them sit there and run 100 feet or 50 feet and then back up, run another 50 feet, run back over. So we'll just have them dump it, and then I'll have my son here, who's running the skid steer. I'll have him get it all perfect. See the difference in the compaction. It really does make a difference, and that's first pass. We go over it multiple times, but you can see you can make it look a little like that with a bucket and just back dragging a little, and it does give a little compaction, but it's not even in the ballpark of the hits that we can make on the surface. You can see it's dropping down a good 2 inches or so in spots. That's just from compaction. Now, this stuff that they were bringing us was wet. In fact, some might call it even pug. It wasn't technically pug, but it was wet, and it's harder to spread. It gets a little clumpy, grabs a little more, but when it dries, it's amazing. It gets really hard. You can see, there you go. This is it. One of the things you'll notice as you kind of look up, you'll see that rounding, that crown that we created, that allows that water to move, get it off, go into those ditches that we created, into those areas that we want water to move. We don't want it sitting on the driveway, and that's what we've been able to do here. Hey, well, I appreciate you hanging out with us and letting us show you what we've been doing here. Hope you have a great day. Thank you.